Hey there, and welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hi, everyone.
If you're like us, you want to be truly well-informed, but, without drowning in information overload.
Exactly.
That's what we do here. We take a whole stack of insights, look through them, and basically give you the shortcut to what's really important.
Yeah, our mission is really to cut through all the noise, connect the dots for you, and hopefully deliver those aha moments that make it all stick.
And today, we're diving deep, really deep, into the recent financials and, well, the strategic moves of a big name in India's healthcare scene. Dr. Lal Pathlabs Ltd. We've got quite a bit to work with their official company reports, the earnings presentation.
And even the recording of their latest conference call, so plenty of material. Our goal here is to unpack those key financial figures, obviously, but also shine a light on their operational wins, explore where they're headed strategically.
And maybe highlight some surprising bits about India's healthcare market itself. It's changing fast.
Oh, absolutely. And Dr. Lal Pathlabs' role in that evolution.
So buckle up. This deep dive is designed just for you.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this first part. Dr. Lal Pathlabs just put out their unaudited results, standalone and consolidated, for Q1 FY26. That's the quarter ended June 30, 2025.
Right.
So just looking at the headlines, how do they do compared to this time last year?
Okay, so looking at the consolidated figures, it's pretty robust growth, actually. Revenue increased by 11.3%.
11.3%.
Yeah, up to Rs 670 crore. That's up from about 602 crore last year.
Okay. And what about profitability, EBITDA, Pat?
EBITDA also saw a nice jump, 13.1% increase, reached Rs 192 crore. And the margins held strong, 28.7%.
Pretty healthy margin.
Very healthy. And here's maybe the most significant bit. Profit after tax or PAT. That jumped by over 24%.
Wow, 24.3%.
Exactly, 24.3%, hitting Rs 134 crore. That pushes the pay margin up to 20%.
20% payee margin is quite something in this sector.
It is, and that directly translates, as you'd expect, to earnings per share, also up 24.4%, reaching Rs 15.9 per share.
Okay, looking at these figures, one thing really jumps out at me. You've got payee growing, more than twice as fast as revenue.
That's right.
That tells a pretty compelling story, doesn't it?
Right.
What's the core message there about how they're running the business?
It certainly does. It really points towards strong operational efficiency and cost discipline, too.
Right.
Mr. Ved Prakash Goel, he's the group CFO, he specifically called these out as priorities. So they've successfully, sustained profitability even with market pressures.
Makes sense. So they're squeezing more profit out of each rupee of revenue.
That's the picture. And another direct benefit from this, especially for you if you're a shareholder,
yes,
is the interim dividend they declared, INR 6 per equity share.
6 rupees.
Which is 60% on the face value of INR 10 each. That's for this financial year, 2025-26.
And when do shareholders get that?
The record date they set is August 6, 2025. So coming up fairly soon.
Good news for investors then. But, okay, beyond those impressive bottom line numbers, what was happening operationally? What did management say was really driving these strong results?
Right. So digging a bit deeper into the operations. The growth seems to be very much volume-driven.
Volume, okay.
Sample volume was up 10.7%. That's 23.4 million samples in the quarter.
Huge numbers.
Huge. And patient volume grew by 5.3% to 7.6 million patients served.
Interesting that sample volume grew faster than patient volume.
It is. And another important metric kind of linked to that, revenue per patient. That actually rose by 5.7% to Rs 880.
So each patient, on average, is spending more.
Exactly. Which suggests, a favorable change in the test mix, maybe more complex or higher value tests being done.
And the number of tests per patient reflects that, too.
It does. It increased from 2.92 tests per patient last year to 3.07 this quarter.
Okay, this seems like a good point to bring in SwasthFit. Now, for listeners, SwasthFit is basically their range of preventive health checkup packages.
That's right.
And its contribution seems quite fascinating here. It moved from 25% of revenue last year to 27% this quarter.
Yeah, that's a noticeable shift.
So how does this whole preventive healthcare angle fit into their broader strategy? It seems pretty important.
Oh, it's definitely a key driver. SwasthFit itself showed really strong growth, something like 22% year over year.
Wow.
Mr. Shankha Banerjee, the CEO, he specifically noted its growing relevance. People are focusing more on preventive health.
Now, fairly a trend.
And he also mentioned it's strengthening their position in the illness segment, too. It's not just about wellness checks. Plus, they're adding new offerings in areas like genomics, reproductive health, autoimmune disorders.
So it sounds like a strategic move towards maybe premiumization, offering more specialized comprehensive services.
I think that's exactly right. Targeting maybe a more health-conscious consumer who wants more than just basic tests.
That makes a lot of sense strategically. And of course, to support all this growth and these specialized tests, their physical network. It's huge, isn't it?
It really is. The latest numbers, as of March 31st, 2025, they had 298 clinical labs,
Almost 300 labs.
including their big national regional reference labs, plus 6,607 patient service centers
Wow.
and 12,365 pickup points. Just think about that reach.
That's incredible coverage.
Absolutely. And it's not just about quantity. This vast integrated network is supported by, get this, 40 NABL accredited labs.
NABL, that's the Indian Accreditation Board, right? High standards.
Very high standards. National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories, and also 2 CAP accredited labs.
TAP, that's the American one. College of American Pathologists.
Exactly. So adhering to top global quality benchmarks, and these aren't just, badges on the wall. This quality assurance is crucial for earning patient trust, especially when you're dealing with health.
Absolutely critical.
And this whole network allows them to push deeper into those Tier 3 and Tier 4 towns, finding new pockets of demand where access might have been limited before.
Right. Bringing quality diagnostics closer to home for many people.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Dr. Arvind Lal mentioned they added 18 new labs just in FY25.
Okay.
And they expect a similar number this current fiscal year. Plus, they're continuing that franchising model for the patient service centers.
So a mix of owned labs and franchised collection points.
Seems to be the strategy. This physical expansion really works hand in hand with their digital strategy to maximize reach.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I was talking to someone who runs a small clinic in a Tier 3 city.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying how having reliable diagnostic access locally from players like Dr. Lal has been a complete game changer. Patients don't need those long, costly trips to bigger cities anymore for many tests.
That's the real world impact right there.
Exactly. It's that kind of difference this expanding network makes on the ground.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. Thinking about the bigger picture for you, our listener, how does all this connect to what's happening in the broader Indian healthcare landscape? Dr. Arvind Lal, the chairman, painted a picture of pretty rapid transformation.
He really did, driven by, digital innovation, better infrastructure. But he also emphasized the huge gaps that still exist.
Gaps like what specifically?
Well, particularly with the rising burden of chronic and lifestyle diseases. Things like diabetes, high blood pressure.
The numbers there are staggering, aren't they?
They are. India has an estimated 100 million diabetes patients. Some surveys suggest nearly a third of adults have elevated blood pressure.
A third.
Yeah. And then there's infrastructure, a reported shortfall of maybe 2.4 million hospital beds compared to global standards.
Wow.
So given those realities, the role of diagnostics, accurate, accessible diagnostics, in actually managing health outcomes becomes incredibly important. You can't overstate it.
So with those massive healthcare needs, their strategy to tackle this becomes really critical. How are they positioning themselves? What struck you most, and do you see any maybe potential pitfalls as they try to scale up to meet this demand?
Well, what struck me is how deliberately they're spreading out into those hinterland markets, Tier 2 and beyond. That's crucial, like we said, given the unmet demand there.
Right.
And they're consciously building a stronger presence in the West and South to balance their traditional strongholds in the North and East.
Creating a truly national footprint.
Exactly. Mr. Banerjee, the CEO, he laid out these 3 strategic pillars. 1, drive volume growth through aggressive market expansion. 2, achieve operational excellence, largely through digital transformation.
Okay.
And 3, uphold their brand leadership. That means unwavering quality, widespread accessibility, maintaining that trust.
Makes sense. But the potential pitfall you mentioned.
I think the biggest challenge is maintaining that consistent quality and positive patient experience across such a huge, diverse, and rapidly expanding network. Scaling quality is always hard.
That's a fair point. Consistency is key. Now, speaking of market dynamics, the competitive landscape is fascinating. You mentioned the conference call. They talked about new entrants, e-commerce players.
Yeah, they did touch on that. The entry of a new e-commerce player into diagnostics, plus continued activity from hospitals and even pharma companies moving into this space.
So more competition. Does that worry them?
Interestingly, management's take was that this dynamic is actually accelerating the shift from the unorganized local labs towards the organized, branded players.
Hmm, that's counterintuitive. More competition leading to consolidation.
Kind of, yeah, because what seems to be happening is that this intense competition is forcing everyone to raise their game, especially on technology, quality, and accreditation.
Ah, so the barrier to entry for serious players gets higher.
Precisely. It seems that in India's healthcare market now, trust and verifiable quality like those NABL and CKP accreditations we talked about are becoming paramount. And that naturally favors the established organized players like Dr. Lal Pathlabs.
So how are they responding specifically to stay ahead?
They're really doubling down on expanding their capabilities in high complexity testing. They launched 58 new tests just in this last quarter.
58.
Yeah. Strengthening their genomics portfolio, introducing something called component-resolved diagnostics for allergy testing.
Component resolved. What's that?
It basically uses individual allergen molecules rather than whole extracts to get a much more precise picture of exactly what someone's sensitive to. More targeted diagnosis.
Very specialized.
Very. And they even developed an in-house smart culture reporting algorithm. Uses AI, presumably, to help recommend the right antibiotics based on test results.
Wow, that's advanced stuff.
It is. They clearly see, as they put it, very strong future potential in that high-end specialized testing space. It differentiates them.
Okay, let's talk more about that tech edge. It's clearly not just a buzzword for them. These investments seem central to both efficiency and the patient experience.
Absolutely. The digital infrastructure they've built is pretty robust. There's the patient app, obviously, for booking tests, getting reports.
Standard stuff now, almost.
Right, but then there's also their AI-based recommendation engine. They call it Reco.ai.
Reco.ai. What does that do?
It suggests potentially relevant tests based on your health history, symptoms you might input, trying to personalize the diagnostic journey.
Interesting. Proactive suggestions.
And operationally, they've implemented something called a control tower. It gives them real-time visibility of where patient samples are, right through the whole processing lifecycle, helps manage turnaround times, quality control.
Like logistics tracking, but for blood samples.
Exactly. And they've also achieved all the key certifications M1, M2, M3 for the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, or ABDM.
ABDM, that's India's National Digital Health Initiative.
That's the one. So getting those certifications positions them as an early, fully compliant adopter within that national ecosystem. It's important for future integration.
Okay, but this raises a crucial question. With this massive scale, all this technology, how do they actually maintain that high quality and, importantly, patient trust? It feels like a constant tightrope walk.
It must be. But quality is clearly like a core pillar for them. You see it in the numbers. Their main national reference lab boasts a CCAP proficiency testing score of 98.0%.
That's incredibly high, near perfect.
It is. And even their satellite labs achieve a 98.3% score on EQAS performance testing. That's external quality assurance schemes.
So consistent quality across the network.
That's the goal. They've even been granted a patent recently for an invention related to real-time quality control monitoring. So they're innovating in QC itself.
That shows serious commitment.
Definitely. And beyond the lab processes, they focus on the human element, too. They have these initiatives like Project Navy for their phlebotomists, the people taking blood samples,
Right.
and Hunar for their lab technicians. Both focus on continuous training and skill development because that interaction matters hugely for patient experience and sample quality.
Good point. It's not just machines. And what about sustainability? ESG factors.
Yeah, they touched on that too. From an ESG perspective, they're using electric bikes for some sample collections, which is neat.
Cutting down emissions.
Right. And they've commissioned a pretty big solar power system, 3.18 megawatts. They estimate it saves over 1.6 million kilograms of CO2 emissions annually.
That's significant.
So it looks like a holistic approach, precision, people, and planet, you could say. Trying to be a responsible, high-quality provider all around.
Now, for you, our astute listener, you might recall they made a significant acquisition a while back, Suburban Diagnostics.
Yes. Suburban. Based mainly in Western India.
Exactly. What's the latest on that integration? Is it fully baked in? How's it impacting performance now?
Good question. The integration, especially the big IT system changeover, which they finished back in February 2025, well, it did have a bit of a lingering impact on this quarter's results. They said they're still kind of in the recovery phase from that disruption.
Okay, so maybe a slight drag still.
A slight drag, perhaps. But Mr. Gold, the CFO, did state that it's definitely starting to contribute positively now to their performance momentum in West India, so turning the corner.
And how are they managing the branding? Is it all Dr. Lal now?
Not quite everywhere. They're running a dual brand strategy, but only specifically in Mumbai, Pune, and Goa.
Okay, the core suburban markets.
Exactly. In other parts of West India, it's now fully under the main Dr. Lal Pathlabs brand.
And in Mumbai and Pune, are they still adding labs under the suburban name?
Apparently, the lab infrastructure there is largely established from the acquisition, so the focus now is more on expanding the collection network, those patient service centers and pickup points, rather than building many new labs in those specific cities.
Got it. Beefing up the collection side. What about totally new growth areas? Anything on radiology, for instance? Or are there plans for more acquisitions? Are they actively looking to expand beyond core pathology?
They do offer some basic radiology like x-rays, ultrasound in some of their urban centers, but they said it's still a pretty small contributor to the overall business.
What about high-end stuff? CT, MRI?
That's still under evaluation. They acknowledged it's an opportunity, but the business plan for high-end radiology isn't finalized yet, so watch the space, perhaps.
Okay. And inorganic growth, more acquisitions, especially maybe in the South where they want to grow.
Management was quite specific here. They emphasized they're looking for a strategic fit, meaning...
Meaning not just buying revenue for the sake of it.
Yeah.
They want a platform, a company they can really build upon and scale further in a region, particularly the South.
So quality over quantity in acquisitions, too.
Seems so. They believe the right opportunities will come along at the right time. Sounds like a cautious but definitely opportunistic approach to M&A. They're not rushing it.
Right. Okay, so bringing all these pieces together then, the financials, operations, strategy, competition, what does management's outlook or guidance tell us about where they see the company heading in the near term?
Well, Mr. Gold gave a bit of color on margins. He mentioned that first half margins usually tend to be a bit higher,
Why is that?
mostly because certain investments, maybe in marketing or network expansion, are often planned for the second half of the financial year.
Okay, phased spending.
Exactly. But he did suggest that the overall annual margin for the full year could potentially end up being slightly better than what they initially projected.
Maybe some upside on profitability for the year. Possibly, but on the top line, their revenue growth guidance seems pretty consistent. They're sticking to that 11% to 12% range for the full fiscal year FY26.
So steady, disciplined growth projection. No big surprises there.
Seems like it. Consistent execution seems to be the message.
Well, what an insightful deep dive this has been. Quite a lot to unpack there.
Definitely.
From really strong financial performance, especially that PET growth, ambitious operational expansion, getting into those smaller towns.
For the cutting edge tech like AI and that control tower.
And that clear commitment running through it all, quality, sustainability, patient trust. It's clear Dr. Lal Pathlabs is navigating a really complex but also opportunity-rich healthcare landscape in India.
Yeah, they seem to be leveraging every part of their business, from the advanced diagnostics like genomics
Right.
to that highly integrated digital platform they've built, and all while pushing that physical footprint out into underserved regions. It really showcases a clear vision for both growth and, well, impact.
So, thinking about everything we've discussed, what really stands out to you from this deep dive? As you listen, maybe think about how these trends, the focus on preventive care, the tech integration, the expansion, might impact your own healthcare choices or even your investment perspectives.
Yeah, lots to consider. And maybe here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
Considering India's vast, still underserved healthcare needs, especially with chronic diseases really on the rise, how will diagnostic companies like Dr. Lal Pathlabs need to keep innovating? Not just finding better ways to detect illness after it happens, but how can they actively contribute at scale to broader public health, to genuine preventative care for the whole population, not just individual checkups? What's the next step beyond just testing?
That's a fascinating question, isn't it? Moving from diagnostics to proactive population health management.
Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you that shortcut to being truly well-informed on Dr. Lal Pathlabs.
We hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us.